The new Dominion. Primary hive cluster on the planet Char. With the Protoss forces beaten and scattered,
behold the power of that which is yet unborn. For the swirling images that flow forth from the chrysalis are only a shadow of the sleeper's true power.
The psionic emanations of the chrysalis have reached out into the depths of space and lured our enemies to us. Even now, we are aware of their plans.
All squadrons close formation. Scan for hostiles. Emperor Arcturus believes that there's Zerg out here, so it's our job to flush them out. I don't want any slip-ups this time. We'll show these critters that they can't run from the Terran division.
Engage the Terran forces with care. Your priority is to protect the chrysalis at all costs.
protect the chrysalis at all costs. Now, why is this chrysalis so important? The Overmind demanded that we capture the chrysalis on the Terran, the human world of Tarsonis. We secured it and then warped back to the main nesting ground on Char to protect it until we're guessing that something will emerge from the chrysalis. Indicated from that briefing, it seems that whatever entity is inside the chrysalis is channeling psionic energy out into the void and basically making contact with all sorts of entities like the Terran commanders and also the Protoss as well. Our mission is to keep the chrysalis safe and at the same time destroy all the Terran forces that are on this immediate location. So I will be honest, this is my second attempt at this mission. The first attempt I foolishly decided to go ground forces, Zerglings and Hydralisks. That will not work, friends. They have extremely well defended themselves with siege tanks and spider mines that pop out of the ground. So if you're playing this mission or plan to, definitely go air units. So that's my first objective, is to get a layer upgraded from the hatchery so that I can build a spire. The spire building is what's required for the air units. You can see a couple of them flying right over there on the top left. Those are what we call them mutalisks. They are the basic attack unit for the air for the Zerg race. They can attack both air and ground units, but they are a little bit squishy, so they don't do very well against heavy missiles like missile turrets that the Terrans have, or the Protoss scout ships also shoot missiles, so they pop pretty quickly against such enemies. But the really nice thing is they stack on top of each other, so if they're moving, they don't take up, they don't bump into each other basically. Once they stop at a location, they kind of spread out a little bit. But if you move an entire force of flying mutalisks, they basically stack damage because they're just so condensed. You'll see. I'm gonna slowly build up my flying fleet. I don't know if that's the word, since they are biological. Flock. A flock of mutalisks. That doesn't sound very threatening. The Mutalisks do require a lot of Vespene gas though, so that's usually the thing that hangs me up as far as building a flock of Mutalisks really quickly. First thing we want to do is secure another Vespene geyser. I'm going to protect the Chrysalis with a few sunken colonies. Oh, good thing I built that because we already have an attack force of a fire bat, 3 marines, but they're quickly taken out. So we start the mission with a few spore colonies just in case they send flying units. They don't really, but it's nice to have them because they are detectors in case they send a cloaked unit over here. I don't think they're going to send any ghosts or wraiths, but just in case, it is nice to have those. So the spire is on its way. It looks like a giant blob flower, kind of like as if like a sunflower got infested by the Zerg. So that is required for the flying units. I know there's another base just north of me on the cliffs, so I'm going to want to secure that. It is being guarded by a small platoon of Terran troops, so we'll have to quickly take them out and secure that base as well, so that we can harvest more minerals and more gas over there. The hatchery has been evolved into its second tier, which is the lair, which is required for the spire, I believe. And just to make sure I don't get supply blocked, I'm right now at 31 population out of 33, as you notice in the top right. I'm going to build a few more overlords, the flying cows. They'll pop out here in just a second. There they are. Beautiful, majestic creatures. I'm going to upgrade my flying attack and my flying armor for my Mutalisks. Those worm bats. So their attack is interesting. They shoot a glaive worm, I think they're called, and it has a bounce attack. It'll bounce from enemy to enemy up to, I think, 2 or 3 times, I can't remember. So it kind of has this spreading effect, especially for enemies that are close proximity to each other. These upgrades do take a long time, so sometimes I like to build 2 spires so that one can be upgrading the armor while the other is upgrading the attack. That sunken colony is doing a great job of defending the Chrysalis. I don't know how many enemies more will come from the southwest side, but that sunken colony seems to be doing a great job. Alright, let's go check this out, scout this out a little bit. The base is just to the left of where I currently am, and I know there's some enemies waiting for me. So we're going to get as many troops as we can, and then head on over. Kind of, there we go. Alright, they fell pretty quickly. But we can secure another Vespene geyser and a place to harvest the minerals. We need, I think, 300 minerals to create another hatchery, which is nice because all units are created from the hatchery / lair / hive. So the more we have, the faster we can create any units. So what I like to do is I like to select all the hatcheries I have, and I like to make that my hotkey number 2. So that I can just hit number 2, select the larva, and create whatever unit I need to pretty quickly. It's all about the hotkeys.
We require more Vespene gas.
Yes, I know we do. That's why I'm creating another extractor. In Starcraft 1, the distance from extractors and minerals to the hives is not really consistent. So you want to kind of keep an eye on how many mineral patches you have. I think peak efficiency is 3 workers on each mineral patch, and with as far as the extractor goes, you just kind of keep an eye on making sure that there's a drone queued up ready to go in as soon as one exits the extractor, just to make sure you have peak efficiency with the harvesting there as well. And you can upgrade each hatchery to its next tier. Like, I can have 2 layers if I wanted to, but you only need 1 for like all the upgrades and the prerequisites, so there's not really a point to creating 2 layers. I know that if you do upgrade it, it gives this hatchery more hit points, and it does spew out the larvae, I think, in quicker succession. But once again, it's not terribly necessary. I'm going to keep my troops up here on the high ground on this cliff, just in case the enemies want to sneak around. I think what I'll do is I'll leave the hydralisks behind. Oh, speaking of enemies sneaking around, I knew we were due for an attack soon. They're dropping a scan on our base to see the high ground, but they weren't quick enough. We quickly took out all of their troops. I'm going to keep an eye on the top right on the gas, the Vespene gas. Basically, whenever I have over 100, I just want to keep creating those mutalisks constantly. And we're getting to a point where we're almost supply capped again. We have a population of 70 out of 74, so I'm going to create some more flying cows, some more overlords. I'm going to make sure that no time is lost on the upgrades for my flying units either. So I like to hotkey the spire, or whatever upgrade building I'm wanting, just to make sure that the upgrades are always queued up so there's no time lost. I think the strategy with most of these maps, most of these missions, is just basically max out your army and then push them all out into a huge ball of death. So I'm going to try to create as many mutalisks as possible. Like I said at the beginning, I did try that with hydralisks, the ground units. I have 4 right now because I started the mission with 4. They got decimated by the siege tanks and all of those spider mines that popped out of the ground. So we're going air strategy this second time through. Now, depending on if they ever send out cloaked units, getting supply blocked again. If they ever send out cloaked units, like the Protoss have these warriors called Dark Templars who are permanently cloaked. The Terrans have specialist soldiers called Ghosts and Wraiths, those basically futuristic F-16s. In such cases, it is nice to kind of spread the overlords kind of around because they are detectors. See that yellow word down in the bottom middle? They are detectors. They can see cloaked units. Oh, we have some guys coming. They're sending vultures. Vultures can only attack ground units, so they're completely helpless against the mutalisks. There is definitely an advantage to having air units. You are not confined to the pathways and cliff obstacles. You can basically fly over everything. And you, depending on what kind of attack these units have, you can attack ground and air units. Now the mutalisks can evolve into 2 different strains. They can evolve into what's called a guardian, and honestly at this moment I can't remember what the other strain is called. The Guardian has a very long range but can only attack ground units, so they become helpless against other air units. So you don't want to turn all of your mutalisks into Guardians in case the enemy decides to send some Wraiths or Protoss scouts at you. But the Guardians are an amazing defensive unit. You just kind of hover them around your important buildings or choke points or ramps, and they're great at defending against ground units. I have tons of minerals over there. And once again, it's the Vespene gas that we have to rely heavily on for these air units, these mutalisks.
Evolution complete.
We're getting a pretty robust army here. A fleet. A flock of mutalisks. Eventually we can get to a point where we just start scouting out a little bit, explore the map, and see what we can attack and take out. So the enemy Terran base has lots of siege tanks hanging out on the cliffs. Siege tanks are excellent defenses against ground units, but they are completely helpless against air units. They cannot attack air units at all. There's going to be some bunkers and stuff, but we'll focus fire those down quickly. Since the enemy is not sending any cloaked units at me, I'm just gathering all of my overlords, the flying cows that supply my supply, over in the bottom right corner. We don't want any of these guys dying, the overlords, because then that reduces our overall population that we can have. Alright, I'm feeling the urge to go explore. I think what I'll do is I'll leave the Hydralisk hanging out back up here on that high ground. Double click the Mutalisk to select all of them that are in the screen area. And we'll move from there. I'm going to attack from, I don't know if there's like a backdoor weak point over here on the enemy base, but we'll check it out. They have a bunker. We focus fire it down. See what I said about stacking the Mutalisks? Since they're so condensed, they're basically shooting out like 20 glaive worms at a time, because they're basically right on top of each other. Extremely deadly force to be reckoned with. Oh, we're being attacked. Ooh, they're sending in the siege tanks. Okay, this is a little scary actually. They did a scan of the cliff, but now that the scan has depleted, siege tanks are helpless against that one Mutalisk, but they do take a lot of firepower to take down, so I'm going to bring some Mutalisks back to quickly take out the siege tanks. Alright, now that they're down, we will continue with our assault on their base. We took out their engineering bay, taking out a lot of their supply depots, which is going to probably prevent them from creating a lot more units. Taking out their, I think that's an academy. And we're about to wipe up this base, no problem. So that's basically the end of the mission. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Chapter 3 of the Zerg campaign of Starcraft 1. Join me on the next video of the playlist when we get to Chapter 4.
Alright, you sorry bastards. Fall back. Fall back!
Hold, Cerebrate. Do not pursue them. Cerebrate, you must stay and relocate the chrysalis to a more secure location. Dagoth shall deal with the remaining Terran forces.
Alright. So that's our next objective, probably in the next mission. There might be a little cinematic here. Let's check it out. Alpha Squadron Recon Detachment, Dominion Border, World Char. Mission, Search and Rescue. Alright, looks like they sent it in a platoon of Marines to come check out what happened to the base that we just destroyed. So I'm assuming this is a few hours later.
They must be the rescue unit. Open the door.
Oh, what is this? Burrowed Zerg pop out right from underneath you and slaughter the remaining Terran forces. Alright guys, till next time, take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones. Bye.